everybody, and welcome back to The Scoop. I'm Steve Boyce, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, Nevada. We're at the beautiful MGM Grand Casino and Resort Hotel. What an amazing facility. I absolutely love this place, love this city, love the energy. It's so vibrant. There's so much to do here, and there's so much to do on The Scoop. We've got a great lineup for you folks over the next 3 days. We're broadcasting from the Experiential Marketing Summit, bringing you all the greatest highlights, special interviews with keynote speakers, behind-the-scenes look at how EMS was put together, and much, much more. So you definitely want to tune into our broadcast. Check us out at bdance.co. That's bdance.co, where you'll find all the action live for the next 3 days. And if you can't join us live here on The Scoop, we'll have all of this content for you available on demand after the event concludes. Now, folks, as Fallon teed up before the break, we've got a great segment for you here today. I know folks are probably sitting at home wondering, how are you pulling this off? How are you doing The Scoop? Let's hear more about how you did this. What's going on behind the scenes to produce this amazing program? I can tell you that forklift has nothing to do with our show, but we love the energy of being here live in the Hall of Ideas at EMS. Now, I'm pleased to bring on to The Scoop today two of our very special guests, two critical team members of our production team who are putting on The Scoop, and I'm going to introduce each of them to you right now. Furthest to my right is Raina Levine. Raina, welcome to The Scoop. Great to have you with us.
It's so great to be here with you, Steve.
Oh, it's great to have you. Raina Levine is Executive Director of Broadcasting with BDance, and we were able to drag her away from her significant duties in putting the show together to get her on stage here. And I also want to introduce our other special guest, Eddie Vaca from 90 Seconds. Eddie, great to see you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Raina.
Great to have you on the program as well. I see we've got a convoy of forklifts going behind us, folks. But I tell you what, this is the energy and excitement of a live event. And what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to walk through a little bit of how we've put the Scoop production together. And we want to share some lessons and insights with you about how you can also produce the same kind of really high quality broadcast experience for your stakeholders and audiences, whether you're coming live from an event like this that maybe you host or maybe you're exhibiting at, or whether you choose to do a broadcast series and perhaps produce a TV-like experience over time. There's a lot of different models, and we may get into some of those here today. So, Raina, I'm going to start with you first. First of all, share a little bit with our audience about what you do at BDance. What's your role as Executive Director of Broadcasting? Tell us what you do every day.
Sure. So I do a really wide combination of all different kinds of things at BDance. I lead teams that are mainly involved in preparing speakers for live moments or pre-recorded moments behind the camera. That means that we're tech checking, doing stream tests, making sure that speakers can connect to the various platforms that we use, and making sure that basically everything goes off without a hitch.
Fantastic. So there's a highly technical component to your role. How many technologies do you work with? Tell the audience a little bit about some of these bits and bytes. And I don't understand all the technical details, but I know you can share that with us.
Sure. So here at BDance, we use a lot of different technologies. One of the main technologies that we're using is one that we're using today to use as a restream technology. That is Social Live. Shout out to Kevin Baker, Joel, Jonathan Jaffe. Thanks so much for all your support.
Thank you, Social Live. Love you, folks.
Thank you. Love you, folks. We're using that as our restream. So a core part of our business model, I rely a lot on the partnerships that we make, and Eddie represents one of the really valuable partnerships that we currently have with 90 Seconds. So it's a matter of working with both technologies like Social Live, like Intrado Notified, like Gather Voices, Ace Virtual Events to provide the technology, and then also agencies like 90 Seconds that help us really provide that polish that we like in high quality broadcast presentations.
Fantastic. So well said, Raina. And a great segue, Eddie Vaca. So great to have you here on set. But we dragged you also from the background. I know you guys are really busy, so I appreciate you taking the time to join us here with our audience. Eddie, you focus for 90 Seconds on growth and monetization, two of my very favorite words of all time in business. First of all, tell the audience a little bit about 90 Seconds. What does your company do? Let's start there.
Yeah, 90 Seconds is a global production house. We have the capability to shoot anywhere in the world, Anywhere you need to be, we can help you get video there. So we work with a lot of brands, obviously Dance, Amazon, the JP Morgans of the world, that want to create video but don't have necessarily the tools to do it globally. So that's where they hire us as a partner, come in, help them find the right crew at the right place at the right time, and then do things like this: execute, execute, and execute. So.
Fantastic. Now, Eddie, if you're helping out sophisticated technology companies like Microsoft,
Yeah.
my guess is that doing high quality broadcasting is not something that just anybody can do, right? This takes a lot of skill and experience, does it not?
I mean, definitely, right? You have a crew of 10 to 15 folks here, all doing very expertise things. And big brands have the same problem too. Theirs are at scale though. So you talk about a Microsoft or JP Morgan, they're being inundated with video requests. Why? Because video is so engaging.
Right.
So they're like, hey, we need to create 300 videos in the next month. How do you do that? And it's gathering crews like this everywhere in the world and being able to, again, execute on that. So
fantastic. And I don't want our audience to take away that this is only an opportunity for large companies with lots of resources, right? Because Microsoft's got a ton of money.
they do.
Good for you guys. Very successful. Love it. Can any brand or organization use a video first strategy to reach and engage with their community or audience and do that in a cost effective way that meets their budget? Is that feasible?
Of course. I mean, right? We have video cameras in our pocket. So it depends on where you want to be on that budget spectrum. How high quality do you want a production to be? And, what is it, the expertise is that you want to hire, right? I guess the old saying goes, the man of the house hires a plumber that costs less and they take all day, can't do it. So he hires the expertise, comes in, taps the pipe and leaves. There's 10 minutes worth of work, right? You hire the expertise as opposed to the cheaper of the things. But the point is that there's a lot of expertise in our production studio here that what do you need? What do you need done? We'll help you find that expert to help you do it. So.
That's so well said. And the expertise is just so phenomenal. Folks, I wish we could turn the camera around so you could see our whole production crew and how busy they are and all of the expertise that's being put together, Raina, to create this amazing experience for not only folks who are attending here in Vegas at EMS, but we're trying to help EMS extend the reach of this great event to folks who can't get to Vegas for whatever reason. How important is that? You work with clients all the time that want to reach a greater audience. So how important is it to be able to do this kind of an experience to have that success?
Yeah, completely, Steve. So I think that in particular, if you want to reach an international audience, if you want to reach a younger audience, if you want to reach any kind of emerging audience that's out there, you have to be using video. It doesn't have to be really fancy like what we put together here. We have, 15 crew members, including 5 Dance personnel, 2 people from 90 Seconds, and then a local crew here with Las Vegas. All of you are amazing. You can have Social Live in your pocket. It's an app. You can stream live from Social Live. When we started thinking about what would be most helpful to EMS when we were streaming live, we were thinking really about focusing our efforts on getting thought leadership out to marketers who are really interested in what is the future of marketing and experiential marketing, and is COVID going to hold us back? Is it going to continue to be an obstacle as we continue to either execute community-based events or anything else like that? So we tailored a program that was virtual, that was a complementary series of programs, not in conflict with the exact EMS agenda, but really in complement, giving people the inside scoop into what is going to be what we think is the most important takeaways from this conference if you can't make it to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's also about the distribution, right? So being able to reach audiences anywhere these days is a key skill set. You need to be able to do it as a marketer. Your audience isn't all coming to Vegas. How do you reach those folks that can't be there, want to be here, and give them the content or the experience that you're getting at the show from the comfort of their home.
Absolutely, Eddie. And Raina, I loved how you described this as a complementary experience, right? We're not taking anything away from EMS. We're enhancing this, right? Both for the folks that are on site as well as folks who can't be in Vegas. And Eddie, to your point, the distribution, right? How do we reach that extended audience? I want to get into this a little bit because the two of you have worked very closely, and we've got another partner in on this, folks. A lot of partnership to put this great program together here on The Scoop. But the two of you put together a really smart strategy for how do we go find the people that are going to be interested in the content on The Scoop coming out of the Experiential Marketing Summit. Eddie, I know this is one of your passion areas. Tell us a little bit about what 90 Seconds does. Who do you work with? Who did you bring into this picture with Raina to help us on this distribution and reach challenge?
It's I've always had a saying, it's great to make great content, but if no one sees it, is it really great content, right?
That's very existential.
It's like,
is a tree gonna fall in the woods here? We got
exactly
foliage
right
behind us. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
It's important that people are seeing the content you're creating, right? That voice that you're putting out there. People get an opportunity to take that in, consume that, and whether they like it or not is up to them at that point. But they have to see it first. And so Raina and I worked with, can I say it? Live Media Labs to put together an amplification program that helps us take the content that we're doing here, everything that we're doing organically with our LinkedIn Lives, our Twitter feeds now that Elon Musk owns it. So it's we're pushing it out there. All of our social channels that we have organic viewership at, but then taking it a step further and saying, hey, well, we know our audiences hang out in different places besides those social platforms. How do we reach those folks? And so that's what we did. We came up with the amplification program that puts the content that we're creating right now live in front of those folks as they're reading articles against experiential marketing. Excuse me.
It is
as well.
It is. Shrink that whole phrase out. But
we did it, and I will find out. And I think you guys are aggregating all the data on the back end to make it actionable. So I think that's be a really winning combination for anyone looking to do marketing from a show like this that can then take their data and say, hey, let's go out and nurture these folks to bring them back into our ecosystem. So
it's fantastic. I love that you brought up the data. We're going to get back to that in just a second here because data is really important, right? Where a lot of great value can come out of that. Raina, I want to just pick up on what Eddie shared a little bit in working with Live Media Labs. Shout out to Kendall and Joanna and the crew at LML. You folks are fabulous. So help me understand this because I'm a little slower than most folks. So what we're doing is we're going out to different websites on the internet where we believe experiential marketers are going to be hanging out, right? And we're promoting the Scoop to them where they naturally seek content. Is that right? Am I capturing this right?
Yeah, I would say that is definitely correct. I think the first step and the process that we went through was really identifying our audience. Who are the people that we want to target? Are they the CMOs out there? Who are the people who are going to be most interested in thought leadership and big takeaways from this conference? And so we were sort of able to narrow down the audience, people who we wanted to target, and then really think in partnership with Live Media Labs about where are those people hanging out on the internet. So New York Times, Washington Post, where are these people likely getting their news?
Event Marketer Magazine.
Event Marketer Magazine.
Yes, gotta give the plug.
Exactly. And so any website that contains space where that is reserved for ad space, theoretically, that distribution model could be inputted and the content could be sent directly to those spaces.
Well, the content's relevant, right? So if you're reading EMS,
right,
and now you're seeing video from there, it's like, oh, do I want to read or do I want to watch? And I think that's what's important. So it's a belief that these are the people that we want. It's actually a known, right?
Yes.
We know them. There's a data aspect, going back to the data, that we are layering on top and saying, hey, we know that you're a marketer. We know that you do events. Let's serve this up to you guys. Let's see if we can engage and then have an opportunity to have a deeper conversation down the road.
I love this because you guys took a very strategic approach initially to, as you put, identifying and really articulating who is the target audience. Who are we trying to reach with the Scoop programming? For whom would this content be most valuable, right? I mean, that's to your point, Eddie. Nobody sees it. It creates no value, right? And we're having a great time. producing the show, so it's valuable for us, but we want it to be valuable for more people. So I love that you first set out very strategically to define that audience. Kudos there, folks. I think that's one of the first most important steps in having a successful broadcast, is making sure you're reaching the right people who are going to find value in your content. And then Eddie, talking about the data, right? So we're going to get a lot of data from who's coming to view our program. And that creates an opportunity to validate the strategy, right? Because we'll see, did we find the right people and did they actually come and watch? Do you guys see a lot of organizations using data to that extent to inform how they deliver these kind of programs? Or is this a fairly innovative approach in broadcasting for brands?
Can you take that one?
Sure. So I know that, so first of all, here at BDance, data is a pretty big deal to us, and we like to gather as much data as we possibly can to inform us about our audience and think about how they're behaving. The more that you know about your audience, the more data that you have, the better that you can cater and really curate the content that's going to be most relevant to them.
I love when your face lights up when you talk about content curation.
Content curation is my bag. Steve knows that. But I think that, we're just sort of starting into the ability to power AI capabilities with data sets. And although that effort is still rather in it's sort of nascent, it's sort of new, companies that are able to sort of step outside of the box, that are in an agile environment, that are startups like BDance, like 90 Seconds, that are thinking about their business model in terms of sort of more scalable aspects, they'll have just a better reach and a better ability to harness the data and interpret it.
And companies spend a lot of money on these programs, right? I mean, these events aren't cheap to put on. If you're a show host, show organizer, you produce your own events, or even if you're attending as a third-party exhibitor, there's an investment here. So they want to get a return on that. It sounds like using the data, activating the data, Eddie, is really key for these brands and organizations to get that return that they're looking for with these kinds of experiential programs.
Well, I think it helps you know the show that you want to put on, right? What's the content that I want to create? Going back to defining that audience in the first place, right? Is it the interviews that we're going to do on the street that are most engaging? Is it the show that we're putting on here that people are actually grabbing on to?
Definitely this segment.
Right. So as a marketer, as a brand marketer, as an event marketer, you want to know these things because you want to know going into it, what do I actually want to produce? And then that gives us, going back to the front of this, 90 seconds, we can help you define what that show looks like, right? How many cameras do you need? Do you need 3 and a walk-in camera? Do you need mics? Do you need a crew? It helps us kind of define the show that you're trying to put together. And the more the marketer knows, the more it helps us, the more it helps you guys. It all comes together. So data plays an important piece in everything. It's the fuel to help you plan and be successful.
Now, I love this, and I love all the praise for data and the use of business intelligence and activating the data. Now I'm smiling, right? I love this stuff. I have to go here because I'm like the ombudsman I shouldn't cover my mic. I'm like the ombudsman for our audience, right? I'm going to ask the questions that I know is on their mind. What about Big Brother, right? You're capturing all this data. Should people be concerned at all about privacy, or is the data activation actually working to their benefit? How would we address the Big Brother concerns?
I have an opinion on this, but
you can
lay it out.
If you want.
My opinion is this: like, if it enhances my life, I'm all for it. It's when it becomes intrusive that I'm like, whoa, that's enough. So if you take like this EMS Summit, right? Their app is actually pretty amazing.
Yes.
I threw up some information on there. It allowed me to connect with folks that are going to be at the show. And we want similar outcomes from this show, right?
Yes.
They want to talk production. I want to talk production. They want to talk data. They want to talk data. It's all good.
Yep.
That's perfect. When I get served up something that I'm like, I'm not interested in McDonald's, but I probably am secretly that no one knows about. But, that to me becomes intrusive, and I want to turn that off in private time.
Right.
So to me, it really does. If it enhances my life, I'm all for it. If it is a little intrusive, I'm like, turn it off.
Great perspective. Now, Raina, our program here on The Scoop is an opt-in program, right? You'll have the ability to come watch the content if they choose to. We'd love to engage with them further, and we're going to ask for their email address, right? So we can serve up more great content curation. But nobody's forced to provide any data or to do anything that would make them uncomfortable. What's your view on the Big Brother aspects? Is this much ado about nothing at this point in our lives?
So I'm in the same camp with Eddie. If it's going to make my life easier, if it's going to make my life better, I'm all for it. My sister got married a couple of years ago, and I found the dress that I wore as my maid of honor dress on Instagram. It's a great dress. I still have it. But that was a situation where the data that was collected about me really helped. One thing that I will say is, when we are honing programming, we're not looking at PPI. We're not looking at the personal protected information that might be your address, it might be your full name, anything like that. We're really looking at what are the behaviors that you're exhibiting? Are you clicking around? How long does your mouse hovering over? Does your mouse hover over when you see something where there's a lot of people on camera, or is there only one person on camera? What's the most engaging aspect of this? Is there a graphic flying by, and does that make you click on the video? We're really tracking and trying to understand behavior of a large group of people when it comes to how they consume content. So it's not really about how Raina Levine, where she's going in her car, although I'm probably going to Starbucks or to buy that dress. It's really a lot more about where I'm watching the video and if I'm mousing over it or clicking on it.
Wonderful. I love that, because it isn't about the personal information or being intrusive. It's about trying to understand their behavior and then deliver experiences that are going to create more value for them.
That make life better.
That
right?
make life better. Fantastic. Those are good outcomes. We're all about great outcomes here on The Scoop. And folks, if you've just joined us, I want to remind you I'm really enjoying my conversation here with Raina Levine from B-Dance and Eddie Vaca with 90 Seconds. We're talking a little bit about how we're putting on this great production here, The Scoop, live from the Experiential Marketing Summit in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're at the MGM Grand Hotel. I haven't actually been up to my room yet. I know it's going to be a long trip. Vegas has this scale issue, right? Fallon and I touched on in our opener a little bit about our excitement of being back in person at events. I'd love to get your perspectives on that. Eddie, what does it mean to you to be back at events and in person kind of as we come out of this pandemic?
Yeah, no, I'm a very social bird, so this is everything for us, right? Like, this is very cool to be able to work with the crew again and interact and have all that. So I'm actually excited to be here. The energy that you have coming from the floor when you're walking through the hotel is pretty amazing. I think, obviously there's that underlining, like, well, am I gonna? But I think everyone here is taking those precautions. Even to get on the show, you had to show your Vax card and make sure that you weren't sick. So I think people are putting the right steps in place so that everyone's safety is first, right? And I'm cool with that. So I think seeing everyone in real life is really exciting.
I can't believe we're all close this close. Yeah. Raina, what does it mean to you to get out again, be out in the world, travel, see different parts of the country, be back at events?
Yeah, it's so exciting, Steve. I'm just so grateful, honestly, to be on the ground with everyone here. Even though I've been talking to Eddie for maybe like the past 3 months, this is the first time that I've met him in person. It's really incredible. It's the first time that I've met, shout out to Ali Rubio from B-Dance. It's the first time I met her in person. And of course, the wonderful crew that's on site here in Las Vegas. We're really grateful for all of you.
Wonderful. So we're all excited to be back together, and that's great. There's only positives to that. But I know a lot of brands are probably wondering, and event and experiential marketers are wondering, okay, was this 2-year thing just an aberration? Do I still have to provide some kind of a digital or online or virtual experience for my community or audience? Or can I just forget that nightmare ever happened and go back to doing what I did, status quo ante? Raina, what do you think on a go-forward basis? Is it important that brands continue to engage virtually or digitally?
I think it's extremely important, and it's important for a couple of reasons. The first is that we now have this whole generation of emerging audience who are accustomed to doing things like going to school virtually and consuming all of their content without having to be on site at a specific location. And so I think that's happened. I've also seen a lot of offices either completely shut down, or really big companies just make it completely optional if you want to come into work and be in person. And so it's sort of the first time it's giving, in some cases, more flexibility to people with new families, people with empty nesters. Everyone sort of benefits in different ways from the ability to tune in virtually. And so it doesn't really matter what generation they're in. It doesn't really matter where they live. Sometimes it's just more convenient, and we really understand that.
Yeah, I think brands they have a tough job ahead of them for sure, because they have to think of both, right? What's my in-person experience, and then what's my virtual experience? And if you're not thinking about both, you should be. So it's one of those things that I think the world was headed this way anyways.
Yeah.
The day of the 200,000 person CES conference is probably over, but I don't think the audiences have gone away. I think audiences are going to be split. They're going to be regionalized. There's going to be smaller hubs in a lot of different places. And as a brand, how do you solve for that? How do you scale your production crew, your crew in general, like to be able to get yourself there? And that's what they should be thinking about now, is how do I scale my one-time big event to now maybe it's 50 regional events globally.
That's a much different production challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it? Doing 50 experience versus one,
Yeah.
right? This is fascinating. And I know that, as we talk about these different modalities, right? Satellite programs, regional programs. Folks, we got a program note for you. I had an opportunity to sit down with an expert in some of this, Leslie Bailey, who also works at BDance. We're going to have a segment coming up a little bit later on parallel events. A new phrase has emerged, right? There always seems to be a new phrase, hybrid, parallel, it never ends, and I can't keep up. But this creates a lot of both opportunity and complexity for brands. So I'm going to pose a bit of a controversial question here. And Eddie, I'm going to start with you.
I love controversy.
Can brands do this on their own? And by this, I mean effectively engage in all the modalities that they need to, or do they need help?
Sure. Brands can take this on and do it on their own. The question is, do they want to? And, their core business isn't content creation, although some are, right?
Sure.
Their core business might be running a technology platform or whatever, but content is so important in their ecosystem that they set these up.
Right.
That's why they do that. So would they take on these complexities on themselves? I don't think so. I think that they're going to go out, they're going to hire agencies to bring in that expertise, pull off all the things that they need to do, and help them scale their content strategy to where it needs to be. So sure, I mean, if they had all the money in the world and can hire all the experts, sure, absolutely. And there's, a couple companies that probably can do that. But if you are a brand looking to create, case studies globally, or tell that customer story, do regional events, are you going to go out and find the top 10% of talent in those regions? Or would you just hire out? I think brands will hire out. They're smart.
Very good questions. Raina, same question to you with a little bit of an intro. You and your time at BDance have produced hundreds of broadcast sessions and programs with your own team. And yet when we put the scoop together, you reached out and assembled an amazing team of partners.
Yes.
To me, that's sort of inherent advice to brands along the lines of what Eddie has shared. Talk a little bit about, from your perspective, what you see as being valuable contributions that partners can make to help brands achieve their objectives.
Sure, that's a great question. I think that it really, for me, started with, what are the exact goals and KPIs that we wanted to achieve as an organization when we started to craft this event and the engagement and what we wanted to do. It wasn't really going to be enough for us to just produce a show and have talent on. We really wanted to take a holistic approach to distribution, monetization. We really needed to take a scalable approach so that we weren't spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on high production quality. We're achieving really, really high production quality here by leveraging a really scalable model that 90 Seconds really helped us craft.
It's incredible.
And it's really incredible. We couldn't have done that on our own. I have a lot of expertise in, crafting and producing virtual programming and some, on-site and live stuff. But there were some really specific things we wanted to achieve that I knew I wanted the experts in monetization. I wanted the experts in scalable production to really pull this off.
Fantastic. Folks, we're here on The Scoop, bringing you the hot takes, the insights, the just the innovations coming out of this amazing event, Experiential Marketing Summit. We're just getting started. Here it's Wednesday the 27th. I think I can't keep track of time when I'm on the road. We've got another 2.5 days of great programming, and we are talking to Raina Levine and Eddie Vaca about how we've put The Scoop together. I'm going to look for my production crew to see on a time check how much time we've got, because we've got, they're giving me as much time as I want. I love that. See,
let's keep going.
See how flexible you can be when you're doing live broadcasting. So we're gonna go into a bit of a lightning round. Okay. Quick, short answers to controversial questions, and hopefully they'll be good questions.
Okay.
I'm going to start, Raina, with you. What is the biggest pitfall that a brand might face in putting on a production like this?
Probably organization. I help a lot of agencies and associations really organize their programs or curate their content, and that is generally woefully lacking. And so that's where I come in.
And what type of skill set or talent does it take to organize all of these moving, complex parts? Like, what kind of a person are we looking for? If we can't clone you, Raina, what do brands do?
Brands find a detail-oriented individual who likely works in their marketing department, who has a really clear understanding of brand vision and can execute on those elements of the brand vision in a detail-oriented fashion to craft an agenda.
Wow, that's great. I hope someone wrote that down. We've got it on camera. We've got it on demand. It's going to be great. Eddie, same question to you. What's the biggest pitfall that a brand might face if they're going to go in and want to do a Scoop-like experience?
From a production standpoint, I think it's knowing what you need, right? Like like you said it earlier, we all have cameras in our pockets. That's to get you so far. Well, if someone comes to us and says, "Well, I can do that on my iPhone," it's like, "Yep, you sure can. Go take a look at that." So, I think it's from a production standpoint, it's actually knowing what they want or what to achieve from it. And a lot of brands can't put the content creation to the production aspect and understand the value of those. So yes, we can do it on iPhones, absolutely. But when you need it done right, and you need it done because we're live, right? Cool. Like you better have the expertise behind that camera to help you do it.
Awesome. Great segue into the next lightning question. Eddie, live or on demand? What's better and why?
Live, baby, all day.
Why? Why do you like live so much?
We create these magic moments, Steve.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. You heard it here first on The Scoop. Magic moments.
Yeah, it's been a a little tidbit of information that I like to throw it out all the time. But you get organic conversation, your expressions. Like there's no retakes. It's just us vibing and talking about things that we know, and then whatever comes out. Plus, you get the assets that as a marketer you can chop up, throw some on social. You can create little snippets of this, and it's all real stuff. So I think the audience engages more with live because they feel like they're more part of it. But VOD, you get VOD assets from it.
That's great. It's kind of the best of both worlds in a sense.
Absolutely.
Raina, live or on demand?
Live, for sure, 100% of the time. Doesn't matter if it's in person or virtual. Live is, I love live. I always love a good blooper reel. Maybe that's why
I
love
lot
live.
of them on my blooper reel. The team's
someone needs to make a
here.
super edit.
I love live because it's authentic. You both have touched on that. I think those human moments, right? Maybe a question doesn't work. Maybe someone falls off their chair, right? I think the audience appreciates that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's an important lesson for those in the audience and brands considering doing their own version of The Scoop. And if you'd like to do that and need help, you know who to call. It doesn't have to be perfect, does it? I mean, this isn't 60 Minutes, right? I'm no Dan Rather.
Well, no, it doesn't need to be perfect. But I think brands have this idea that it does need to be perfect. And so live is scary, right? Live is a scary production. There's a lot of fail points in that. We're here and we have a crew and they all know exactly what they're doing and how to do it, right? That's why you hire agencies like us, right? Because we know what we're doing. So when a brand comes to us and is like, well, it has to be perfect. You can't, there is no outtake here. Like, we cannot have any mess up. I think it's scary for a lot of people. So they opt to do a VOD version. Let's just record it. If we need to do a retake, we can do a retake. Fine, cool. But you don't get that authenticity of being live.
I would agree. And I think Eddie's right. Brands are scared that there's going to be a mistake. And look, Raina, I know that in some industries, it's actually really important, like in health and medical, right? In legal and financial. These are some of the industries I know you've got a lot of experience in. Certain stuff you just got to get right for like legal and regulatory reasons. But outside of that, be yourself, be human, right? Doesn't that come across the camera better?
Yeah, that I definitely think that element of authenticity is super important. And just like what we're doing right now, like yes, there is a jackhammer that's happening behind us that just ended that you may have heard that, I think especially the last 2 years, like with, COVID and the pandemic, things happen that are outside of our control. And I think oftentimes, especially, outside of legal or medical brands that really feel they have to do everything right. I think people are looking to brands to provide authenticity, to provide culture around how can we be more ourselves during this time, and how can we bring our full selves not only to our work professionally, but also to our personal relationships. And so I in particular, I also think that Gen Z as consumers are really going to be pushing brands in that direction. And it's up to brands to really respond to that in a way that isn't contrived.
Fantastic. I love that you brought up Gen Z. There's a fabulous session here at the Experiential Marketing Summit, folks, on Gen Z and how they relate to brands and engage. And the abstract was much better written than I've done it justice here. But I think we're going to have a couple of the folks from that session here on the Scoop. Let's talk about Gen Z. Are they more into video broadcasting experiences than being in person? What's your sense, Raina? I mean, I don't know if we have any data on this, but just a gut feel. Like, are Gen Z, are they going to be the ones that are going to be in the audience digitally watching broadcasts? Is that their preferred way to engage, in your opinion, or am I off base?
No, I definitely think that it is their preferred way to engage. I know a lot of Gen Zers who are just graduating from college now and they have their first jobs, but there's a very, very few of them, an extreme minority, that actually have to go into an office. And one thing that I'm seeing is, like, when I interact in person with these individuals, it's almost like, because they haven't been around their peers, because they haven't, been interacted in person, mainly because of the pandemic, it's awkward at first. It's awkward. They don't exactly know how to act or what to say or how to be professional when there isn't a lens in between them and their colleagues. I think that Gen Z is going to, by and large, want to at least have a virtual option, even if they choose to be in person. Having the option is going to be really important.
Well said.
But I think everyone has moved a little bit in that direction, even outside of Gen Z. I know my parents, who are basically baby boomers, if they can consume it on Zoom, they will.
Excellent. Eddie, what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, this is an audience that's grown up with YouTube, right? These are, they take all of their content through YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. This is where they're at. This is their safe place. This is where they're most comfortable. They'll continue to consume content that way, and until the next thing comes around. In-person events for Gen Z, I don't know. I think we'll have to see. Like, the world is just coming back now.
Right.
I do see a lot of really young faces here, which is fantastic, right? These are the next generation of marketers and coming through and coming up, and so it's fun to see what's happening in kind of the industry. And I look around because there's a lot going on.
I know, right?
And it's just like, wow, okay, cool. But yeah, I think they're a digital first audience. They'll consume it that way, and then I think as we create experiences for in person, they will come for those experiences specifically.
Wonderful perspectives from both of you. And I think, folks, this is one of the things that we wanted to accomplish most here on the Scoop, is just to bring you a variety of perspectives and diversity of thinking. And although Raina and Eddie do agree on several things here, they obviously have their own perspectives, and we're going to continue to bring you great perspectives here on the scoop over the next couple of days. Gen Z, baby boomer, Gen X, and otherwise. There was a time when I was in the next generation of marketers, and now I'm not. So that's how time flies. Folks, if you're curious about some of the background noise and where we're hosting this segment today, we're broadcasting live from the MGM Grand Convention Center here in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Experiential Marketing Summit. And we're in the Hall of Ideas, also known as the Exhibit Hall. Today is setup day, so there's a lot of activity going on in and around behind us. There's forklifts and jackhammers and all kinds of booth construction. It's a really exciting place, a lot of activity, a lot of energy. Another lightning round question, a little bit off topic on how we put this production together, but as the two of you look forward to the next 2.5 days here, Raina, what are you looking forward to most?
That's a really good question. I'm really looking forward to any session that's about capturing that Gen Z audience. I'm also really looking forward to coming up pretty soon. We've got someone that's coming to talk to us about community-based events and hyper-localized events. So
very cool.
Events that are sort of really hyper specific to regions or neighborhoods and cities. I'm from Chicago. There are more than 22 neighborhoods, and each neighborhood has its own flavor. So I'm really interested in that one.
That's great. Fantastic. And you touched on some of those different regional
Hyper-local.
and small hyper-local.
When you're trying to regionalize content, you go hyper-local with it. And these are really, really tough things to solve for. So marketers coming up right now, I'm most excited for all the new technology that's coming through here. It's going to be really fun to see who's doing what, how they're thinking about solving issues and problems in this space, and also just the people. I'm actually really excited to shake some hands and throw some smiles out there. So we'll see how this goes.
Fantastic. Well, we get plenty of smiles from the two of you, which we love. You're so camera friendly, both of you. And we really appreciate you guys taking time out of doing the production. I don't know how we're still running with the two of you on camera, but I leave those details up to the experts. But I really appreciate getting into this discussion about how we've put on this great program, The Scoop. We've only got a few seconds left here, so I'd love to just kind of close with final thoughts, Raina, just on this experience overall for you as a senior broadcasting executive. You've done a lot of different things in the space. How does The Scoop as a broadcasting experience kind of rank among the different things you've done in your career?
This is definitely a highlight. I am really excited because I feel like the industry is finally in the place where there's enough scalability, there's enough knowledge, there's enough expertise to be able to pull something off with a short runway. And that is very new. Because of the new and advanced technology, because of the new processes that we've really honed as a community, it's really incredible what we can accomplish together.
And before I go to you, Eddie, hold the thought. How short of a turnaround time, Raina, did we have to put The Scoop together? Tell folks you can do this in a pretty short period of time. It's not easy, but
I think it was just 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Wow.
4 weeks.
Yeah. So, folks, it may seem like a daunting task, but you too can put together a scoop, your branded version, in short order, right? If you find the right partners, get the right leverage, follow the right strategies, stay true to your objectives.
Absolutely.
Eddie, for you, at 90 seconds, you folks do this all day, every day of the year.
We do.
You are global. But this feels like a bit of a special opportunity. How would you characterize this among the different broadcasts and programs that you personally have been involved with?
Yeah, and to parrot Raina here, it is a highlight, right? To be able to bring these folks together, accomplish something that is going on live right now is fantastic. I think for us, we do thousands of videos every year, right? We shoot in really remote parts of the world. It's all very fantastic. When you can come together and you partner with the right folks and there's a common idea that you want to go out and create, and then it comes together like it has in a short period of time.
Yes.
That's fun. It's really exciting to be part of, seeing something from the idea phase to now here we are producing a show for 3 days live, right? That's the exciting part. So great stuff. Looking forward to it. And we'll see how the rest of the show goes.
Very exciting, very fun. I think it's going to go great. I think we've had a great start to The Scoop. And this certainly has been a fantastic segment. I know it will be one of my favorites as I look back once we get done with the program, but I don't want to get done because it's so much fun. Folks, I know you have more questions about broadcasting. I know you have better questions than I ask our two very special guests. So, Raina and Eddie, if anybody in our audience wants to reach out to you as thought leaders, pick your brains about broadcasting, ask better questions about how to do their own version of the scoop, I'd love for you to share to the extent you're willing to, right? We don't bombard them with emails, folks. But Raina, where can folks find you if they want to learn more about you and what you're doing? Social handles you want to share? Where can they reach you and connect?
Yeah, so first of all, definitely feel free to use the hashtag EMS Scoop. That's 2 S's, EMS Scoop. And I can also be reached on Twitter at Media Miz. That's Media MIZ, all one word. That's
nice.
me.
I love it. Very good. Eddie, how about you?
Don't have a cool handle like Raina here, but it's at Eddie Vaca.
Nice.
On Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to connect professionally. And look us up. Always happy to help.
Fantastic. And folks, I would echo Raina's request. Use the hashtag pound EMS Scoop. Is it pound still? Hashtag. Yeah, see, I'm from an older generation. EMS Scoop. There's 2 S's in the middle. Share your perspectives with us. What do you like about the program? What questions do you have? We got a team monitoring the social media channels, right? They're looking to hear.
Link in bio.
Yeah. What do you want to hear from us on the program? We're going to incorporate that in. So do take advantage of the opportunity, folks. We'd love to hear from you, hear your perspectives and your questions. So with that, folks, I think we're going to wrap up this segment. I want to thank our very special guests, Eddie Vaca from 90 Seconds, Raina Levine from B-Dance. I'm Steve Boyce. It's been my pleasure hosting this really great segment, behind the scenes look at the Scoop broadcast here at the Experiential Marketing Summit, coming to you live from the MGM Grand Resort and Casino. We'll be back in just a few seconds, folks. See you soon.